I want to share something with you today that I've never shared the entire story with anybody in my life. And that is how the hummingbird, the legend of the hummingbird, became a way of life for me. But before I do, I'd like you to imagine with me a hot summer's day. You're having a barbecue with the family and friends. Your elderly mother is in the house because it's a little bit too hot for her. You're holding your granddaughter in your arms. Then all of a sudden you hear fire, fire. You freeze. You don't know what to do. But your daughter springs into action. She takes that fire extinguisher that you have at home. She puts out the fire. That was the reality for Mary on the 4th of July 2020 in Arkansas. At a recent visit to the site, Mary came up to me and thanked me for saving her mother's life. But how could that be? I'd never met Mary before. I live 7,500 kilometers from Arkansas. And then I remembered a conversation with a friend, Yannick, that resulted in a discussion with somebody else, that resulted in Mary being given a fire extinguisher at work for home. This is the legend of the hummingbird in action. Now what I'd like to do is take you back a little bit in time to the late 1960s. You remember the Beatles, the space race. Imagine with me a small boy reading science fiction comics and watching men walk on the moon. I was that boy. I was inspired by Neil Armstrong. I was inspired by Captain Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. I wanted to walk on the moon. I decided I needed to work hard at school. At school, though, I was always in a rush. I always wanted to finish before I'd started. I was an impossible, difficult student. Yet I remember Mrs. Smith. Mrs. Smith took the time to work with me on every single letter, one letter at a time. And bit by bit, my handwriting became legible. Like a lot of other people, a lot of other teachers, Mrs. Smith invested in me. Mrs. Smith and those other people did not give up on me. They focused on the small things, the little things that would improve. Just like my mother never gave up on me. My mother was a remarkable person, but maybe like many of you, I never realized that at the time when I was younger. My mother was one of 6 children, and she never had any money, either when she was younger or when she was older. However, my mum had a big heart. She believed in contributing, and she gave her time, her days, her evenings to help others that she considered to be less fortunate. I was taught to always say thank you whenever anybody did something nice. I was taught to open the door for the person coming in behind me. My mother believed that the ripple effect of her actions and positivity could have a potential impact on somebody else, someplace, somewhere. My mother's sense of purpose was to contribute, to be the best person that she could be through being positive, through small changes, and having a kind heart. Many years later at work, I met a colleague, Incan, who introduced me to the legend of the hummingbird, the story of the hummingbird. There are several stories about the hummingbird. My favourite is that by Michael Nicol Yagelanis. Again, imagine with me a forest, a big green forest full of trees. Now that forest is on fire. It's burning. All the animals rush out. Those that can. The impact on the environment. There's the friends of the other animals that are left in the forest. The soot, the smoke is getting in their eyes. This is an environmental disaster, but it's a disaster for the people, the animals that live there. The hummingbird, the little hummingbird, flies out of the forest to the nearby river, takes a drop, puts it on the fire. He goes backwards and forwards, and the other animals just stare. Backwards and forwards. Eventually, one of the animals says, "Hey, hummingbird, you're so small. You're having no effect. You're insignificant. What are you doing?" And the little hummingbird stops. He turns round to the other animals and he says, "I'm doing the best I can. I may be small, I may be insignificant, but at least I am trying to do something." Now, I'd like to imagine the story continues. Bit by bit, the other animals, one by one, together, go to the water, take some, try and put the fire out. And eventually, I believe they would put that fire out. The little hummingbird showed remarkable leadership. He just didn't wait to be told what to do. He just did it. And eventually, one by one, his leadership influenced the other animals that they helped collectively and together to put the fire out. But the other thing that the hummingbird demonstrated was not just pure leadership. It was a leadership of care. A leadership of I care for the others. I care for the animals that were left in the forest. I care for the environment, and I will do something. The little things matter. It was at that moment in time that the legend, the story of the hummingbird, became my North Star, became my guiding star. I realized that my actions, my positivity, and the way I address life could make a difference not only to me, but to other people, maybe not even people that I know. I realized that I could make a difference. So why not be the hummingbird? Let's look at some examples of the hummingbird in action. One of the most famous ones that I can recollect is the Great Britain cycling team for the 2012 Olympics that is known for the idea of marginal gains, the little things, whereby the cycling team worked on everything to increase performance. The person, the bike, the nutrition, everything that could possibly give them a really small increase in performance. The result was 8 Olympic gold medals in 2012. Another example I can think of is at work, I'm involved in a lot of problem solving, whereby we bring people together. But those individual people never have the solution. And very often I've noticed that the solution that comes out is a result of the iterative work by people talking together, and I have an idea that creates an idea in somebody else, and together we create the final solution. The most impressive and important aspect of that I've seen in reality was, do you remember the Apollo 13 space mission? 3 astronauts stranded in space with no way to get home, apparently. The engineers on Earth got together and they put their heads together and identified one solution after the other in order to get them back. But not one of them had all of the solutions himself or theirself. Those engineers finally, due to iterative little approach of adding their impact, the thoughts into the solution, bit by bit, what was the result? You all know it. They brought those astronauts safely back down to Earth. They were all hummingbirds. Now, the hummingbird theory in itself, what it needs from us is to work together. It needs us to take care of people. It tells us that every single action we can take, if positive, can have an impact. With me, for example, when you clean your teeth in the morning, if you stop the water, that's a little bit of water saved maybe. But many people, to my knowledge, leave the water running as they're cleaning their teeth. Stop the water. If you, me, and everyone took a piece of litter off the floor when we see it and put it in the bin or recycled it, that could have a big impact. Think about it. 100 people pick up a piece of litter. Why not 1,000? Why not 1,000,000? 1,000,000 pieces of litter that is no longer on the floor. 1,000,000 people that are reducing the consumption of water. But what about people? Why not go to somebody and say, can I help? Do you need anything? How are you today? During the COVID pandemic, we got closer together as a population. We reached out. We cared for people. So why not be hummingbirds? Why not continue that now and going forward? In 100 years from now, it won't matter what your title was at work. It won't matter what type of car you drove or how much you had in your bank account. What may just matter is that you made a difference to humanity, to the environment, to a project, or just to somebody else that maybe you don't even know. What the world needs from us is for us all to be hummingbirds. My mother never realized it, but she was a hummingbird. She was not insignificant. So why not? Why not be the hummingbird? Thank you.